Hey everyone, today Keith at Crypto Bullseye, and I'm bringing you probably the most important update video that I've done so far on this channel, and certainly this bull run, guys, because the market is getting overheated. We've got early indications that the market needs some kind of a cool off, needs some kind of a pullback. And anybody that's new to crypto, and you've seen your P&L just go one direction, up only, you don't know what these volatile pullbacks of 20%, 30% on Bitcoin do, and how that impacts the rest of the altcoin market. It's nasty, it's quick. So how can you prepare for that? And how do I actually understand and identify that the market is getting overheated? You can see that Bitcoin's run from its all-time high all the way up to 91,000. It's ran all the way to 91,000. And one thing you'll notice is it hasn't had a healthy pullback. So the chances are that we're going to get a healthy pullback going into next week or the following week, but we've got early warning signs to say this is what the crypto market's doing. This is the top 100 cryptocurrencies of the last 28 days. Everything's run too hard. Then you look at the crypto fear and greed index, and this is the main indication, guys, that Bitcoin does need that healthy pullback. We're at 90, extreme greed. The market can't sustain itself in extreme greed for the next 9 months. So how do we prepare ourselves going into next week, and is there any opportunity? So we'll start with the market leader. We'll start with the big daddy. We'll start with Bitcoin, currently trading at 91,115. So this thing has run, and we're waiting for the cool off. We're waiting for the pullback, waiting for opportunities elsewhere. So what does it mean if Bitcoin's overbought now? Does it mean sell all of your Bitcoin? Remember, guys, none of this is financial advice. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing it from a risk management perspective and from a preservation of capital perspective. So I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin now at the start of this bull run. However, there's altcoins that have been on the table that have already run that I could take capital out and then add them back in on the pullback. So that's something that I'm potentially looking at, but I want indications and I want signs that this is the top, because next week we could quite easily do this. Bit of a fake out, put in a new high, and then the cool off. We just don't know, guys. The markets do whatever the hell they want. All we know is one thing. Markets are overheated. Markets need to cool off. Markets need to pull back. That means opportunities and cheaper prices. So how far am I likely to pull back on Bitcoin, or how far are we likely to pull back on Bitcoin? We stick our Fibonacci retracement tool from its extreme low, the previous swing low down here, all the way to its swing high. Now, we have to make a bit of an assumption here, guys, that this is the actual swing high. Now, how do you play this? If we put in a new high, you just get your Fibonacci tool and then you put it back up to the new high, and then your retracement is going to be a lot less shallow. It's a lot less shallow because you've put in that new high. So we have to look and think that this is the high now because that's the recent high. And we're looking for clues for the pullback. What areas would we be likely to pull back to, and how far down is that from where price is now? This is going to be the main one, guys, the 618. And remember, we look at the 618 and we look left, clues look left to coincide with any kind of build up of price action. This is around the area of the previous all-time high. This was our strong resistance for such a long period of time, around 8 or 9 months. We would expect that to flip strong support in a bull market. So that's what I'm looking for. But, guys, from where price is now, and don't forget, if it runs higher into next week, it's going to be even harder to dip. So going in, from where price is now to the 618, that's a 27.74% move to the downside. Needed 30% move to the downside. And if Bitcoin dominance goes up, whilst it comes back 30% to the downside, trust me, the altcoins are going to lose 40, 50%. So you need to prepare for that, guys. It's not just up only. So that's what I'm looking for on Bitcoin. It's going to be monitoring it going into next week. Make sure that this is the high, and then we've got our Fibonacci levels built in for the pullback opportunities. And then we look at the dominance. You can see we had a couple of reactions from the dominance, and this has been strong to show that we're about to start some form of altcoin season. We've had two rejections. However, we're hovering up the top of this main trend here. So we're hovering up at this rejection point. Is price likely to break through? We don't look at price breaking through until it's broken through, and then we reassess and we reanalyze going forward. At the moment, we want this dominance to drop down. Given conviction, altcoins, of course, are running harder than Bitcoin. That's what we want. Bitcoin's been running for too hard for such a long time. Altcoins need to catch up. When altcoins catch up, they'll catch up fast. So the total three, guys, we talked about this in the last video. We said we were down here, and we said once we got a break and once we got a close above 696.62 billion, then you'd get an acceleration up to this resistance point, and we'd get an increased in liquidation of altcoins, excluding Bitcoin, excluding Ethereum, of 126 billion going into the market. So that's why all the altcoins have been pumping. That's why all the altcoins are all in green at the moment. That's why all your altcoins are in green at the moment. because we got this acceleration of liquidation. Now we're at resistance, and that's given us another indication that we're at a cool off. Right, okay, so is this painting a picture, guys? Is this helping you understand that we're looking at clues to identify, is the market run too hard or not? Just go back to Bitcoin quickly, and then we look at the indicators, and we bring the indicators up, guys. Remember this. Stochastic RSI is telling us one thing. Market's overbought, needs to cool off. Look at the RSI. Market's overbought, needs to cool off. So already, guys, we've had about 4, 5, 6 metrics that's telling us that the market does need a healthy cool off. So we look at the USDT dominance. So we look at this next. And this is another indication, unfortunately, guys. We're coming to a support zone. So we're coming to a support zone on USDT dominance. That's the dominance of US dollar tether within the crypto market, currently sitting at 4.24%. So this area is likely to act as support. If this acts as support, that means the dollar gets another turn. That means people are selling Bitcoin, people are selling altcoins, people are going into the dollars, the dollar will rally up to this resistance point, and then we can have another surge in the altcoins to the downside. Once it hits this resistance point on the USDT dominance, guys, once it hits this resistance point, this move would have been done. This move would have been done. And then this move would have been done. So it's all just adding different measures, adding different metrics of confluence to give us a bigger picture. Okay, altcoin picks. And we'll start with Gala. And thanks, guys, for letting me know what your altcoin requests were this week. I've gone through every single one of the requests that were in the comments. So thank you for that. And appreciate all your support, guys, as well. I was thinking, am I actually going to get to 7,000 subscribers by the end of the year? Like literally 500 subscribers in the last 2 weeks. So thank every single one of you. Okay, Gala's currently trading at 0.02917. Let's look at Gala. You can see it's an interesting chart, this one, because we've managed to do something. This previous shelf, which was resistance for such a long time, and we were in this accumulation phase for such a long time, we've managed to break through the accumulation phase. We've broken through the shelf, and we've broken through the 200 daily moving average. So the key area to hold now on Gala is going to be 0.02637. If we get a big pullback on Bitcoin, expect a bigger pullback on Gala. However, when you're making moves like this and you're pulling back to this level here and you're getting a support buy here, that means your stop loss can go under here, back in this accumulation phase. If you're wrong with the least amount of capital. So we need to be thinking about preservation of capital. We need to be thinking about protections on these, because although Gala, from a chart perspective, from a technical analysis perspective, it looks like an absolutely beautiful setup, guys, absolutely beautiful. However, we need to pay attention to the elephant in the room. What happens if Bitcoin pulls back? What's that going to do to Gala? Think, prepare. How are you going to protect yourself? Make sure that you apply stop losses, especially if you're trading, guys. If you're trading and you haven't got stop losses on, it's a recipe for disaster. You lose all your capital. If you lose all your capital, you can't take opportunities elsewhere. Right, Giga. I've never done this one before, guys. Giga, there's not much data to go by on this. So let's just see how far this has pulled back from its previous low down here to where price is now. You've got a 0.5 touch here. Potentially, you're going to get a 0.6. Even further down, guys, 0.786. That's not unrealistic, because this previous build-up of price action coincides with the 786. Haven't got much price action build up here. Haven't got much price action build up here. If we drop this level here, expect to come back down to the 786. And that's going to be a drop from where price is now, 46%. So if Bitcoin dropped now, going into next week and drop 20%, this is probably going to be a high probability that that'll happen. So if you're in this now, protecting yourselves is a good thing. However, if you're not in there and you're looking at a 786 bounce, you can get that obviously 40% cheaper. So that's something new to me, guys. You just look at the build-up of price action. You look at this gap here. If we lose this support base at 0.0452, expect an acceleration to the downside to go all the way down to test the 786 sitting at 0.02653. Jasmy Coin's got a big area it needs to overcome. And what you're going to expect to see here is, because of this build-up of price action, which acted as resistance for such a long period of time, you'd expect that to be our support build-up. So what does this mean again, guys? If we pull back to this level here, protections, this needs to hold. That'd act as strong support. If you're wrong with the least amount of capital. Live to fight another day. This one looks quite nice as well, guys. Let me just pull up what have we got here. Got a bit of a bullish divergence here, guys. So you've got a bit of a bullish divergence playing out here. See, we put a lower low, just about put in a lower high or stayed flat here. So that's showing that we were going to get a bounce. We've had a bounce. We've broken the 50 period moving average. And now we're flagging between the 50 period moving average and the 200 period moving average. So this has given us a clear indication. You break above, you're bullish. You break below, you're bearish. You flag between, you're undecided, waiting for that move. Breaking a close above will give confirmation that whatever it is that you're doing has got conviction behind it because you've had that break in the close. So I'm just looking to see how that plays out. Does it hold support on the 50? Will it break 200 as resistance? Because if it doesn't break the 200 as resistance, the bull market can't start. Can't put in those higher highs, can't put in those higher lows. So I'm waiting on that one. Crypto.com. Crypto.com. Let's have a look. Pullback. We're looking for a 382 if it's going to be a strong trend. If it's going to be a strong trend, a 382. If it's going to be a deeper trend, we want the 618. 618 looks more positive on here because clues look left. Clues look left. 618 coincides with this previous resistance and previous build-up of price action. We'd expect that to flip support going forward. 618 is sitting at 0.1335 on Crow. Sheeb looks very similar. This was the previous resistance we needed to beat. We need that to flip support now. The support buy and the support zone is 0.00002010 until 0.0000263 to the upside. I'm expecting this to hold strong support on Sheeb. So looking for a pullback here. When's this going to be invalidated? If Bitcoin pulls back, guys, 20 or 30%, this comes back down, loses this area here, and then we lose the 200 daily moving average, then we need to reassess and we need to relook. One thing that you'll see, guys, with these dips, with these volatile spikes to the downside in a bull market, is they're quick. They're quick. They're quick. They're designed to make you feel as much pain as possible. They're designed to make you have the emotions that you're going to want to sell. You're going to want to sell. You're going to want to sell. You're going to think that it's over. That's what it's designed to do, guys. That's why they say the bulls climb the stairs, the bears jump out the windows. So when the bulls are going up incrementally, gets to the bear turns, jump straight out the window. Nasty quick wick to the downside that hurts you as much as possible. Radium. I mean, I'm looking at these guys. We had last week's calls. We had some killer entries. The market wasn't as volatile. The market hadn't run. So you've got to think to yourself now, if you were getting into radium now, we've created a bit of a double top if you're getting into radium. And then we had a nasty spike to the downside to come back and test this trend line. 60%. If you'd put $1,000 into radium and you dropped all the way back to this trend line, you'd have $400 left, guys. Preservation of capital. So on radium, you can play the bull flag. You can play the bull flag to the upside. You can protect yourself below the previous low. Would I be interested here? No, it's run too much. I'm already in radium, guys. I got radium at a good entry before we had the break. And that's why I said the build phase is the most important phase. The build phase is the most important phase because you can withstand those 30% dips on Bitcoin. You can withstand the 50% dips on altcoins because you've got things when no one was interested in them, guys. You got them in the bear market. No one cared about crypto in the bear market. There was never going to be another bull market. It was boring. It was going sideways. Luckily, that's when I was building, guys. That's when I created the YouTube channel, and that's when I started building in front of you guys. Right, okay, Casper. We're at resistance on Casper. You can see we're testing the 200 daily moving average. I'd want to pull back. We've already had a pullback to the 618. We've tested the 618, but you're going to see that we're going to be bulked. Price action is going to be bulked between the 200 moving average and the 50 period moving average. That's going to create indecision in the short term. Indecision in the short term until we break to the downside or we break to the upside, given some kind of a conviction whether the bulls or the bears have got control in the interim. So you can see I'm not looking at projections at the moment, guys. I'm not looking at projections because I'm waiting for some form of a pullback. And when I say that the altcoins are going to pull back 50% if Bitcoin pulls back 30%, it completely depends on the dominance. If the dominance is starting to decrease, the altcoins are going to bleed a lot less. If the dominance starts increasing, then the altcoins will get absolutely battered in a short period of time, and then they'll recover quickly. Sui, another one, guys. It's run. So, I mean, what we can do on this, let's stick a Fibonacci extension. I'll just stick a Fibonacci extension tool. So we go in from here, and then we can look for projections. Are we at any projection levels from this swing low to this swing high, back to this swing low? We're looking for 1-to-1s and 1-2-7-2s. You can see, look, had one-to-one equal measured move. That's an equal measured move of this measured move here. And then we've got an extension. You often see wave 3 as an extension of wave 1. That's healthy. We've nearly kissed the 1272 extension. So it's looking like we're at resistance now. It's looking like we need a pullback on SUI. Where are we likely to pull back to? Remember, guys, what was previous resistance, you would expect to flip support. So you've got this area here sitting at $2.34. And then what we can do is stick a retracement on for this time from its swing low to its high. And we look to see if any of these areas coincide with each other. You can see we've got a bit of a range here between the 618 and the previous resistance. So my zone on SUI is going to be sat at $2.32 and $2.48 to the upside. So looking at the charts now and looking at this Pepe chart, we can see that this is how Fibonacci's work perfectly, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the retracement on here from its previous swing high to its previous swing low. And I've added extension levels on this. I've added the 1272 and I've added the 1618. Look what happens here. Price action's pumped. We've broken trend. We've absolutely smashed all the way to the 1.618 extension level. Where have we pulled back to, guys? 1272. Price has bulked between the 1272 and the 1618. Those were our projection levels. And I'm expecting price to pull back even further than that and test this previous swing high. And I want to test that as support. What was previous resistance needs to become support. So I'm waiting for a pullback all the way back down to this 886 level sat at 0.001198 on Pepe. Not looking for projections. We've already hit projections on there. And then we've got Apecoin here. So I had a nice pump on Altcoin, had a nice pump. How would you play this? Simple trend line, guys, simple trend line. The one positive thing is this. Had a golden cross. We've broken the 200 daily moving average. We've held the 200 daily moving average, indicating the start of a bull market. So in the short term, we want to break, you want to close, and that allows you to protect yourself below the swing low. Obviously, if you protect yourself below the swing low, when you're wrong, markets do whatever the hell they want, guys. I'm not always right. I'm not always wrong. It's all about probabilities in the market and making sure that you give yourself an edge by having more probabilities in your favor. Having rules in play, guys. Having rules is important. So protecting yourself, that's going to be the first thing that I always do. Protect yourself. Once we've had a break, we can protect ourselves below the previous swing low. We know exactly how much capital we're looking to lose. Then we can look for projections to ensure that the risk management looks okay. Okay, Cadena's at a resistance level. You can see this is resistance. It's hit resistance once here, once here, once here, once here. What's this telling us? Once we break this resistance level, we'd expect that to hit strong support. So if we do something like this, break through, this holds support, does this look like a better buy or does this look like a better buy? That's resistance. That's always resistance. There's a high probability we're going to get rejected until we break through. Once you break through, there's a higher probability it's going to hit support. But look, guys, it's the same level. It's the same level. Give yourself that edge and get that support. So Chainlink next. Chainlink has got another high to take out. High it needs to take out is $15.12. Once it takes out $15.12, there's a big gap here, which is going to show that we're going to get some kind of a big acceleration. The bears have accelerated price down here. The bulls would do exactly the same and accelerate price here. That is, from where price action's sitting now, an upside move of 54.53% on Chainlink. Got Proppy. So look at Proppy, guys. You've got this accumulation phase. This accumulation phase lasted for, before we got a big break, 150 days, 150 days of boring. Imagine somebody's had a cardiac arrest and you've got no heartbeat. You've got no heartbeat for such a long period of time. And then you just get the beep. And that's exactly what's happened here on Proppy. That beep was from its bottom to its top within 1 day, 136%. So all them hundreds of days of accumulation, and then that's wiped out by just 1 day, one beep. That's exactly what happened. So what do we need to do in the short term, guys? Because this one looks absolutely banging, but there's a couple of things that need to happen first. First thing that we need to happen is break and close above this level here, sat at $1.45. Next thing that we need to do is break and close above the 200 period moving average. We need to hold this level of support. Once we hold this level of support, this is your gap. That's your gap, and that is a move 170% to the upside. Patience is key, guys. Make sure you're greedy with your entries and make sure that you preserve your capital so you can live to fight another day. Arweave next. So we've had a break on Arweave. We've come back. This was a previous resistance. Oh, sorry, that was a previous support shelf. We've broken through and that's come back and that's acted as support again. We've tested the 50 period moving average. We're holding the 50 period moving average, and that's just in the accumulation phase. So probably the best thing that you can do here, guys, is stick a diagonal on there. You've got your diagonal. You've got your break here. This is your support. So what does this allow for? That's your support. That allows for tight risk management. How can you preserve your capital here? If you were taking this here, you can preserve your capital by just doing something simple like this. Shooting for wherever you're shooting for, bring your risk management or bring your risk to reward down as much as possible. Okay, Moon River. This one looks really good, guys. This one looks good to me. So where we were looking at Arweave and we said a couple of things need to happen. We've got a couple of resistance levels that we need to overcome before we can test this big gap here. On Moon River, it's already there. We've broken the 200. We've taken out this gap here. We've taken out this accumulation phase, which acted as resistance for a long period of time. That's now tested as support. We've hit the 200 daily moving average. We're holding the 200 daily moving average as support. We're about to get a golden cross. That one looks good to me, guys. Fetch is holding support. We're below the 200 daily. We're below the 50. We need a break and a close above those two levels, and then that's good for me. And then GFI, I've never done this one, guys, but we've got a strong resistance level sat at $2.01 that we need to overcome before I'm interested. So it was a bit long-winded, guys, and sorry it's not going to be all pumpy. Sorry it hasn't been all projections, but I'm a little bit concerned that the market does need to cool off. And it's not just what I think, guys. The market is telling us it needs to cool off. We've looked at the indicators. They're all telling us that they're overbought. We've looked at the crypto bubbles. They're saying that the crypto market's ran too much in the last 28 days. The crypto fear and greed index is in 90. It hasn't been in 90 for years. So we need to look at that and we need to pay attention. Subscribe to my channel and stay up to date in crypto, guys. Thank every single one of you for the last 500 subscribers over the last few weeks. Take care of yourself and goodbye from me.